Hello everyone, this is Devendra Chauhan from ADARSH Vidya MANDIR, SHANKAR PEETH, Mount Abu. Today we are going to start a chapter in English for class 10. The chapter is in the textbook First Flight and the title of the chapter is A Letter to God by G.L. Fuentes. G.L. Fuentes is a Mexican writer. The language used in this chapter is very simple, yet it is very effective. The use of vocabulary, then the use of metaphors and comparison done in this chapter brings out the essence of this chapter. See, when we look at this title, A Letter to God, and the word letter, this word letter takes us to the primitive times, the olden times, when people used to write letters. But nowadays people hardly write letters, and that also. This letter is titled to or addressed to God. Who does have this type of faith that writes a letter to God? Even though we may have a lot of problems in our life, there are many negativities in our life, okay, but we do not write a letter to God. We do not have that faith to write a letter to God. But here, the protagonist in this chapter writes a letter just because he have firm belief, faith in God. The basic theme of this chapter is, it depicts infinite faith in God. Then it is just the faith that a person has. What faith? A belief in anything. A belief in God, a belief in one's abilities. That is only the ray of hope in life. Here, the protagonist in this chapter is having infinite faith in God, and that is a ray of hope in his life. Let's discuss some of its characters. The main character is Lencho. Lencho, who is a farmer. He is also the protagonist in this chapter. The other characters are postman, a person who delivers letters, and postmaster. Postmaster is the head of the post office. There are other characters also, like Lencho's wife, whom he addresses woman, and Lencho's children. But those are only for a mention. Okay. Let's discuss this chapter thoroughly. First part of this chapter. See, the first part of this chapter begins with the location of Lencho's house. Lencho's house is the only one in the entire valley. It is situated on the crest of a low hill. Now, what is crest? Crest is C-R-E-S-T. Crest is the top of a low hill. The hill is not too high, it is low. Standing there on the top of that low hill, a person can see the entire valley, the rivers flowing, the cornfields with the dotted flowers everywhere, and all those belongs to Lencho, because he was the only resident there, was the only house. Okay, so he was the only resident. He and his family. Okay, next, Lencho knew his field intimately. Intimately means very closely. He knew that this field is going to give a good harvest as it had given him earlier. Now, there was only one thing required, and that was a downpour or at least a shower. This was what is required so that he can get a good harvest. So that day, from the morning, Lencho had been doing nothing. He has sat continuously and started looking towards the northeast direction to know about the weather conditions. Later, he returned and said to his wife, "We are going to get a good water woman." Woman he is addressing to his wife. So the wife also, she replied, "Yes, God willing." This is the place where God enters in this chapter for the very first time. Now, late in the evening, when Lencho and his family were having supper, Lencho's predictions turns true. It started raining heavily. Lencho became very happy and he rushed out in the field just to feel the pleasure of rain falling on his body. And when he returned, he exclaimed, what he said, "These are not raindrops, these are coins. The small ones are 5 cents and the bigger ones are 10 cents. Here he is making comparison of the raindrops with coins, because the same raindrops are going to nourish the field and he is going to get his return from those fields. Later on, the climate started changing suddenly. It started raining heavily along with hailstones. Now Lencho was surprised. He became very sad. He thought that if it doesn't pass quickly, it's going to destroy everything. But it didn't pass. Then the hailstones destroyed everything, even the field, the valley. The hailstones had not even left leaves on the trees. Lencho was depressed. He became very sad. As soon as the rain stopped, he went out in the field, stood there and said to his children, "Even a plague of locust would have left much than what is left now." Now locust, what it is? Insects that destroy the fields. So Lencho was very sad. His soul had gone out. He was disturbed. He said to his children, "Dear children, this year we are not going to have any corn. We'll have to remain hungry throughout the year." And this, in the same way, he thought and passed his night thinking deeply about what he will be doing to survive and to feed his family.